Okay, so good evening, everyone. So I just want to give a kind of what's it called? Like I'm not a pro, so I just want to see ways whereby I can actually simplify things for us. So I noticed like a lot of people are actually struggling with the program. So and I felt like okay, since I have some basic knowledge about this thing, if it would be a good thing if it's something I can, just explain things and see the way I can simplify things as easy as possible. So if at any point you are not hearing my voice, so just let me know, right? So the programming language we'll be treating today will be Python. So and Python is just like every other programming languages, but the only difference there is just the syntaxes and all that. So Python can be used to like you can use it for a lot of things. Basically, it's just to program the computer. So and we all know like the computer cannot actually understand what we say or actually understand our language like our normal language like Yoruba, English, and all that. So there are syntaxes like we can bring together to actually make the computer work. For example, if you press your phone, you switch on your phone. At least you as the user, you are just pressing something, you are pressing a button. But behind the scenes, a lot of things actually going on to make all those things easier for you. So we are studying MIT, and which means we have to learn some things about IT. And one of those is just the programming language, how to program a computer to perform some specific tasks. So one of the programming languages is just Python, and I'll go straight to the point, like so that I won't bore ourselves out with everything. So in Python, if you want to start anything in Python, the first thing is you have to create your file. So it is in that file that you'd be writing your things in and all that, your codes and everything in. So it's just like you want to create a document, like a Word, Microsoft Word document. So you have to like at least create the file. It is inside that file that you will now input a lot of things. And as we all know, Microsoft Documents has their own extension like .doc or .docx, and we have Excel with what's it called? Is it Excel or something? We have .pdf and all that. So all these are just extensions to tell the computer how to handle that particular file. So in the case of Python, in the case of Java, in the case of JavaScript, C# and all that, you have to like create a file and give it an extension. So it is the computer that will now understand based on the extension you've given to the file. It is the computer that will now understand, oh, this extension I'm seeing is for Python. So I'm going to handle this particular file as a Python file, and everything inside that file is going to be executed in Python way of things. Let me put it that way. So if you want to start now, the first thing is you have to create a file. So the file is going to be like your what's it called? Your document that you want to put things inside. You want to put all your commands and everything inside. So for Python, the first thing is you have to create a file. You can put it, you can give it any name. So for this, I'm saying tutorial.py. So py is the extension for Python. If at any point you can't hear me, please let me know. So let me zoom this out so that it will be. Oh, I'm zooming in. Okay. So I've created my file, which is tutorial.python. You can give it any name you like. For example, my name is Ridwan. I can say Ridwan.py. So which means if the computer wants to run and it sees this file, it's going to handle it like a text, like a Python file. Same way you can, if you want to create PDF, you can just say read1.pdf. So if you open this up, you can see the icon has actually changed to PDF. So the computer is going to see it as a PDF file. But in this case, we are running Python. So we are going to do .py. So that's the first thing. Actually, that's not the first thing. The first thing is to install Python, which I think we've all installed Python. So the Python can be installed, at least I've shared the link yesterday. And this is my own text editor. So for me, like I said, I'm very comfortable using Visual Studio Code as my own text editor. So we have a lot of text editors or IDEs that you can use. But like I said, this is just a personal preference. So I prefer to use Visual Studio Code for me. So we can discuss that later if you want to use that and you're having issues. So after installing Python, you have to be sure the Python has actually been installed. So how do you check? There's something called terminal, or we call it terminal. I think in Windows, they call it command prompt. Yes. So for Mac and others, it's called terminal. So you can actually run your terminal. You can just open your terminal. Then inside your terminal, you can just run Python. I'm using Python 3, so Python 3-v. Oops. Let me exit this. Let me do Python 3 dash version. So this is going to show me the kind of Python I'm using. As you can see, I'm using Python 3.9.6 because I've actually created that. I've installed that a long time ago. So if you are using Visual Studio Code, you can actually drag up your terminal from here. So dragging it up will bring the terminal whereby you can type your command. So in another language, you call this terminal command prompts, whereby you can type your command like you want to command the computer and all. So, but then it is out of the scope of this. So if you want to check if Python is installed, you just have to check. For me, like I said, I'm using Python 3 version. So you can just do Python 3 version. If the Python is not installed on your system, it will throw an error. And you know like, oh, this thing is not installed on my system. So we've installed Python, and the next thing is to learn about the basics of Python. So I'll just go straight to the point. And the first thing we have to talk about is comments. So okay, let me just do comments instead of doing tutorial. I'll just be doing them each folder. So I will share these files with us later. So let me just do comments here. So the first thing we'll be talking about is comments. So what are comments? In any programming language, comments are just like notes, within the code base that they're actually ignored by the computer. So the question will now be, what exactly are comments? Comments are just like, let's say I'm writing my own code base as read one, and I want someone else like Tola or Miriam or anybody else to manage this code base in the future. I can write comments in my code base such that they will understand the steps I'm taking. don't worry. I'm going to like with time. I just want to give us some basic explanation. So we have two types of comments, or two ways we can comment. The first one is using starting with hash. I'm coming. I want to make this pop out so that we can see. So if you want to write a comment, you can just do this is a comment. So you can say it's highlighted in green or whatever color, but it's going to be different from the main color. So this is not going to be executed by the program if I run this program. So this is just like a comment for programmers. So this is the first type of comment. The second type of comment is called multi-line. Like you want to have multiple lines of comments, such that maybe you want to have extensive explanation of what a particular code is handling. So if you want to do that, you just do double quotes in 3 times. Then you can write this is a multi-line comment. You have to close it. So in here, this is a multi-line comment. You can add many lines as possible. So you can see this is different from the first one. This first one, if I press enter now and I write a new line, this is going to be seen as if it is part of the program, and the computer is not going to it's not going to omit this. It's going to look at it. You can see already I'm getting an error, like this is an invalid syntax because it is not a comment. I didn't give it that command like this pound or hash, like this is a comment. So if I want to do this now, I can put hash in front. It has not a comment. So another thing is you might not know where your hashtag is or hash pound or something hash sign is on your system. So if you want to do this, you can just write this is a new comment, then highlight it like this. Then on your computer, just press Ctrl / it's going to automatically comment it out. So that is that. So not a big deal actually. So aside comments, the next one we are going to be talking about is variables. So we'll be talking about variables. So what are variables? Variables are just like containers. They're like containers. They store data. You can store something in them. It's just like you have a box or a plastic container and you want to store something inside, such that you can easily reach for that thing later, right? For example, if let's say we used to watch football, right? You see jerseys with numbers and all, like number 7 Ronaldo, number 10 Messi. You can, once you see number 10 on an Argentine jersey, you know, like, oh, this is what's it called? This is Messi's jersey. So variables are just like they are like boxes with labels. So each box is going to like hold a particular or specific value, and you can access the value. Like you can access it by referencing to or referring to its label. So for example, let's say I want to create a variable of name. So my name is, what's my name? My name is Ridwan. So if I want to get this later, I can say let me print. So if you want to print something out in if you want to output anything out in Python, we use print in Python. So if I say print name and I save this, Ctrl S, and I come down to my let me exit this. Oh sorry, exit. Clear. So if I come down to my terminal, like I said, I've actually explained what a terminal is. So I can use this terminal to run my code. So if I come down to my terminal now, I do python 3 comments.py. You can see Python 3 is Python. My Python is not correct. Python 3 is the programming language, like the command to summon the programming language. Just like we have, if you are worshiping any god, you can summon the god, like, God, do this for me. So now I'm saying Python, run this particular file for me. So, and the file is comments.py as I specify here. So if I do Python run this command for me and I press enter, you can see I have read one here. So what Python is going to do is it's going to locate this particular file, which is comment.py, then it's going to go through them from top to the bottom. So Python is running line by line, or any programming language actually runs line by line, and they run from top to the bottom like a waterfall. So it's just like water falling down. Water doesn't go up, it falls down. So though in some cases there are some exceptions, but just take like that, like waterfall. So it goes from left to right, then top to the bottom. So Python is going to go through this file and say, oh, okay, this is comments. No, I have no business with this. Then moves to the next one. Oh, okay, this is also a comment, multi-line comments. I have no business with this. It goes down. Oh, this is another comment. No, this is not my business. Then the next thing is, oh, this is a variable. And this variable has, oops, sorry. I mistakenly pressed something. So it's going to say, oh, this is a variable. And this variable has something stored inside it. And what is stored inside it is read one. Then the next command is saying print name, which is print this variable. So what I just did there is the same thing as saying print read one. Right? But don't worry, you understand the reason why we are using variables. So if I do this now, you can see I have read one. So, but I'm saving read one into this variable, right? And not just, I'll explain what this variable means later. Then the next thing is, let's say I want to, okay, what is read one's age? Okay, read one is a young guy, it's just 20. So I can also do print, what am I printing now? I'm printing age. Like I said the other time, variables are just like containers to save something, and you can refer to those things with that name. It doesn't have to be anything. I can, instead of age, okay, let me just print this out and let's see. What do you see? 20. So instead of saying age, I can say MIT. It doesn't really mean anything. You can give it anything, any name whatsoever. So if I do MIT 20, it is 20. But then the question will be, sometimes if you want to give a name, you have to use something that even you, when you're looking at that code, like 3 months from now, you'll be able to understand what you are doing. For example, if I do MIT equals 20, it doesn't pass any message to me as the programmer. Though the computer will understand, like, okay, fine, you just have a variable here and you save 20 inside and you're printing it out. That's none of my business. I'm going to run it the way it is. But you as the programmer, you have to write something like you can understand, or even if someone else, like another programmer comes and they are very dumb, they can't even like comprehend. If they are looking at your code, they should be able to like understand, oh, this is what this guy is doing. So that is variable. And what else can we do? Okay, I've done this. Let's do another variable. So another variable is let's say who is read one. Read one is a student, and this can be Boolean, true or false. So is students, true or false. So I can print this out also. Let's see what is going to give us is students, true or false. So if I run this again, oh sorry. So if I run this again, I have read 120 true, right? So the next thing we are going to talk about, okay, before I go, let me explain something. What we have here, if you can see it, it is read one, but you have double quotes. Though I'm still going to explain this later. So we call this one string. So string are just like text or a word. It can be more than one word, yeah, because we can have Balog read one. I know what you'll be asking in your mind. The question in your mind will be, why do we have to put string? Why not just write name equals read one? You can see already the program is already shouting like, guy, what are you doing? What's this? So you can see it's shouting at me and saying syntax error. This is invalid syntax, because you have to like understand what is a variable, what is a string, and what is a variable, or what is the input and what's the variable. So I have to say this has to be a string. So which means I can write anything inside this string and it's going to be treated as a text. Let me put it that way, like text or text in English. So that is a string. And this one, like I wrote 20 here. So this is an integer. So an integer can be a whole number. It can be minus, it can be plus, but it's just an integer, right? And we have the next one here. Okay, let me just put it in front. Like I said the other time, you can have what's it called, comments. So this is a string, and this outputs. I want this to be fast as soon as this outputs the results, the variable. This outputs the variable, and this is, like I said, this is an integer. This is an integer, and this is a boolean. Anything boolean is true or false. This is a boolean. I'll explain further later, right? I just want to like take us through the basics. So the next thing is I want to change the name of my file to tutorial because it is beyond comments. Okay, so the next thing, okay, let me just do, okay, let me leave like that. So the next thing we are going to talk about is data type. So I want to create another file so that I have a message I want to pass across actually. So I'll just do data types.py. So the message I want to pass across is, as a developer, you would want to like have as many files as possible. Because imagine you have thousands of codes here. At the point it will get longer, and with time it's going to be very difficult to manage or maintain. So it's always advisable to break down your codes into different files. So for this new file, you can say I have tutorial file, I have another file, data types. So what are data types? So data types are just like different types of containers. Like let's say you have a box of fruits, or let's say a box full of books and all that. And we have different types of data type. Like I mentioned the other time, we have integer. Integer is a data type, and integers are whole numbers. Whole numbers like you can have 11, you can have 60 or 600, and it can be negative also. It can be minus 10, it can be minus 35, it can be anything. So they are just whole numbers. So they are integers. Like I did the other time. So you can have something like numbers, or let me just do number 1 can be equals to 10, and you can have another number like number 2 can be equals to 5,000. So these 10 and 5,000, they are whole numbers and they are integers. So I'm using VS Code, and even if I just over on it, VS Code is telling me already like this is an instance of int. So you can see. So if you are using VS Code, this is one of the beauties. So I have integers here, and we have another data type called floats. So what are floats? Floats are decimals. So they are decimals. So these floats, we call them floats. So they can be 11.1, they can be 600.2, and they can also be negative too. You can have minus 3.5, you can have minus 10.45. So they are float. We call them floats. So these are integers are whole numbers, and floats are decimals, right? And the next one is we have strings. Okay, let me do an example of floats. Okay, let me just do float 1. Float 1 equals to 35.7. You can give it any name. It can be read 1, read 135. It can be 100.56. You can give it, this is just a variable name. Like I explained the other time, inside this variable, you are saving this value inside here. So if I do print read 135 now, and I run the command, which is data type.py, data types.py, you'll see the results. I have 10.56 already. So what else? Okay, we want to talk about strings. So what are strings? I've explained the other time. Strings are just like tests. So they are tests, and they can be what's it called? They can be enclosed in single quotes. I'm writing this out because of people that might want to rewatch this later. Or double quotes. Oops, we have a new visitor. So they can be enclosed in single quotes or double quotes. We can have something like I did the other time. We can have something like name equals read 1. I can have something like surname equals Balogun. So these two are, we call them strings. They are tests. So they can either be single quotes or double quotes. So anyone that works that is easier for you. As for me, in my programming language, I'm always using double quotes because it's so easy. Let's admit the new people. So then what else can we talk about? Okay, so I think I'll just go ahead later. We'll do that. So we have booleans. Booleans are also data types. So for Booleans, they represent true or false. They represent true or false. So don't worry, I'm going to explain the reason why all these ones are needed. So for Boolean, you can say is it raining? We are in dry season, so it is false. It's not raining because everywhere is dry. Is it dark? Yes, it is true because it is dark. So I will explain the reason why we are using. So these are just the basics, so that we understand when we get. You understand the basics before we get to the what's it called, to the bigger parts. So after we have other data types apparently, but these are just the basics. So after data types, I think another thing we need as the basic is yes, operators. Yes, operators. So like I said, always you have to name your file.py if you are working with Python. For Java, it could be Java. I think for JavaScript it is .js. So for Python, make sure you name your file as .py. So operators. What are operators? Operators are just like operators are they are actions that we perform on data. Yes, operators are actions. Operational actions performed on data. So and it's just like you want to add 2 plus 2 together. That is an action. You are adding something together. Or you want to compare height. Okay, read one is 120 something centimeter to Kinikon. So it's just like there are actions we perform on data. Can I say objects on data? So one of them is we have the arithmetic operators. Yeah, we have arithmetic operators. So there we have the plus, we have the minus, we have the multiplication, which is star, asterisk, we have division, and all that. And we even have what's it called? Modulus. Yes, we have modulus. So and we have the exponential stuff too. So you can say for here, you can say let's do a variable. Let's say number one is 20, and let's say the second number we have, which is number 2, is let's say 35. So you can perform some operations on this. So let's say sum equals number 1 plus number 2. So if we print out our sum now, let's see what it's going to give us. So if we print out our sum, we come here, we do instead of we are running our file name is operators. So you can see we have 55. We can even do modulus, like okay, if we will it go? Okay, I don't know. Let's try. So it gives us 20. I don't know that. Okay, yeah. So modulus is the remainder, like is it remainder? Remainder. Like this divided by this, what is remainder? So but is that even correct? I don't know. Okay, so we have minus, let's do minus, and we print out minus, we have minus 15. So I believe you get the gist now. So another operator is comparison operator. So we've done arithmetic comparison operators, and for these operators you are using them to compare. So the first one is double equals. Don't forget we have one equal and we have double equal. So the question is, what is the difference between this and this? So I will explain that. So double equal is literally it means equal to. Then we have another one which is this exclamation mark and equal. So this one is not equal to. Then what else? Okay, yeah, we have the greater than, which we already know. We have the less than, and what else? We have the greater equals. We have the less equal. So let's, like I said the other time, let's do something. Let's say is equal. Okay, let's do is equal. Is equal equals to what can we compare? Okay, let's compare the number 1 above. Is it equals to number 2? Oops. Is it equals to number 2? So you can see, I know you'll be confused, like why are you having we have 1, 2, 3. So like I said, this is on the right hand side. Anything on the right hand side is the value, and anything on the left of the equal sign is what is the variable. So already we've defined what number 1 is, which is 20, and here we've defined what number 2 is, which is 35, and we have the comparison operator, which is the equal sign. So this equal sign is handling this on the left side of it, and also comparing it with the value on the right side. So let's print out our result. Is equal. So is it equal? Let's see. It says false because it's not equal. Let me comment this out because we are done with this. So let's go again. It said false. It said false because number 1 is not equals to number 2, right? Let's do the second one. Let's say instead of is it equal? Okay, let's do is not equal. Let's do is not equal. So let's print. At least this should give us true. The reason why this will give us true is number 1 is not equals to number 2 because number 1 is 20 and number 2 is 35. And we are now saying like number 1 is not equals to number 2, and this will say yes. So whatever thing we are getting should confirm that. Oh, did I save? No, I didn't save. Okay, let me save. So this is returning true. So it's returning true because number 1 is not equal, like I said here, not equal. Number 1 is not equals to number 2. The is equal is number 1 is equal to number 2. This is going to return false because number 1 is not equals to number 2. I don't know if we understand. It can be confusing sometimes. Then let's do another one. Let's do is greater than. Let's say is greater than. I can give it any name. I'm just giving it something I can understand. So I'm saying is number 1 greater than number 2. So let's just print it out. Let's see. Is greater than. So if I print this out, It says false because number 1 is not equal to number 2. So basically, this is just saying this greater than is just saying number 1. What is our number 1? 20. It's basically saying is 20 greater than 35. And if you remember, I said a variable is something that holds data, and you can reference that data with that variable name. So all these are variable names. Number 1, number 2, sum, everything. Everything at the right side of the equal sign, a single equal sign, are the values, right? So this is basically saying number 1 is greater than number 2. Is basically saying number 1, which is 20, is greater than number 2, which is 35, and we print it out. So what else can we do? I think let's just stop at that. Then we have logical operators too. So we have logical operators. So let's do logical operators. So logical operators are, they are like the name implies, they are logical. Like if Ridwan and Miriam are going, definitely they are students. Or if rice and beans are available, then buy it. If rice and beans are available, buy the food. If rice or beans is available, buy it. But if rice or dodo is not available, don't buy anything. So they are just logical. Let me put it that way. But you are going to see them in when we get to the conditional statements. So we are going to, let me just do and, or, and what we have not yeah. So these are just operators. And the next one we are going to talk about are casting. Yeah. So casting. So I'm opening a new file now, which is casting.py. So casting, what is casting? Casting is just like you are converting. Let me write casting. So which is converting data. You know, we've talked about data types like we did there. So which we have numbers, strings, and booleans. So casting is just like converting data, like from one of those types, from one type to another. So let's say we have let's say my age is 25. So if I print this out now, you'll see 25, age 25. So let me just print this out. Let's see. We have casting. Let me change the name of the file too. So 25. But I want to cast this. So instead of this giving me, you know, if I open on this, it's saying instance int, which is an integer. So this int means an integer. So I don't want this to be an integer. I want this to be what's it called? To be a string. So I can just say age underscore string. I can give it any name. So string age. You can see this string is, I'm telling the program to convert this age, which is an integer. I'm telling it to convert it to a string, str string. So if I print this out now, let's see, what are we going to get? Age underscore string. So if I print this out, oh, this is still going to give me, but I can do the, what's it called? Print type of, okay, I'm coming. I'll do that later. So, okay, let's say number. Let's say I have number. Let's say this number is number string, and I say this is 15, right? Then I want to cast this back, you know, I want to cast it. I don't want it to be, we call it a number. So which means if I do, let me do something. Number, if you do another number string 2, and I do 35. So I want to do something. So if we do print number string plus number string 2, this should concatenate. You can see it gives me 1530. So which means if I want to perform some additional operations there, let's say we're talking about money, and I say, okay, Ridwan gave me 15 and Bola gave me 30, and I'm writing a program to say, okay, Ridwan's 15 plus Bola's 30. I want to know how much I got at the end of the day. You know, no matter, I'm expecting to have 45. And I got 1,530. It doesn't make sense. So imagine you are working in a bank and you now write their code, and you're now saying if Ridwan deposits 15 naira and another 30 naira enter his account, and now he's having 1,530. You know, it doesn't make any sense because you're actually causing. So this is actually a bug, right? It's a bug. And another way you can fix it is through casting. So we are now saying, let's cast this into. So let me just do number string cast. So this will now be, we want to turn this into an integer. So you cast it with integer. So I can do number string cast 2. Sorry, I'm so lazy, so I have to copy and paste. Cast 2, then string 2. So if I now do number string cast 1 here and cast 2 string cast 2 here, you can see what it's going to give me now. So you can see instead of having that 175, okay, let me print the 2 out so that we can actually understand what I was trying to explain. String 2. So let me comment this out. We don't need it. So you can see the difference. The first one is giving me 1530, which doesn't make any sense. And the second one is now giving me the real value, which is 45. So I believe we understand that. So let's talk about strings, because these are very, very important. Because you'll be writing a lot of strings actually as a programmer. So we've already explained what strings are. So strings are just like words. Strings are words. So you can have Ridwan, Balogun, you can have MIT, Unilag, and all that. So what are the manipulations we can do on strings? Right, we have a lot of manipulations we can do on string, like a whole lot. But then I'll just take us through a few of them. So let's say I have something like greeting, and let's say my greeting is okay. Let's say hello, right? And my name is Ridwan or Ridbe. Yeah, let me do Ridbe. And if I want to greet myself, so let's say full greeting, like I said, this is just a variable name. You can name it anything. So full greeting is going to be greeting plus, then what else can we do? Let's give it a comma so that there'll be a comma, then plus name. Yep. So if I do print, let's print this out. Let's see what our full greeting is going to give us. So full greeting is going to give us, this is another file, which is string. So it says hello read bay. You can see. I'm very sure maybe when you log into Facebook, you just see hello, your name. You'll be like, how did they know? So they already have it, right? So this is just, if I just put this just to make it make sense. So if I do greeting dots, greeting plus read name, it's just boo. It's just return hello read bay without anything. So I put that this just to make it make sense. So we have new people. So then back to what else can we do? So what I did here, this plus, I think I need to talk about this plus. You know, in any programming language, or in many programming languages, not any, in many programming languages, this plus acts in different ways. You can use them as operators like 5 plus 1, and they can also be called concatenator. This English, concatenator, or let's say concatenation. So concatenation is just like merging two things together, right? So like I did here, we have read one and name. So if I do print, let's do print greeting, which is hello. Okay, sorry. Let's do read one plus Balogun. Yeah, I think this will make sense. So if I do read one plus Balogun, so this plus sign here, it is not acting as an addition. Well, you can still call it an addition because it's adding the two together and bringing them together. But in the normal sense, it is concatenating, like it is merging. I don't even understand what concatenation is, like the definition, but I understand what it means. So it is merging them together. You can see read one. Let me comment this out. So if I do read one plus Balogun, it is doing read one Balogun. You can see no space. So if this plus or this additional sign, if it checks the size and say, oh, this is a string and this is a string, you know, it doesn't make any sense. I can say 1 plus 1 equals 2, but I cannot say string plus string equals 3. No, it doesn't make sense. So what they're expecting me to do is just to match them together, glue them together, gum them together to make one. So this is a concatenator. So don't be tricked, because sometimes you might be making mistake, and maybe when you're doing your addition, subtraction, like arithmetic operators, and you're not using plus here and all that, or maybe you see it in a program. Just like sometimes, not sometimes, in many programs, they use it to concatenate, to merge together. So I just want to point that out, right? So they use plus to combine. Yeah, that's the word I've been looking for. To combining strings, to combine strings together. Yes. So they use plus concatenation. Plus is used to combine strings together. Yep. So yes. So that is that. So another thing we can do on what's it called, on strings. Can I call them operators or manipulators? So there is another thing we can do on strings. Let's say we have name. I want to check how many. You know, I can have a lot of things here, right? So, and I want to know how many letters are here. So instead of me saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, no, it doesn't make any sense. There is something we can use. We call it len. So len, like len. Len is a method. So you can use len to find the lengths. Use this to find the length of a string. Length of a string. Right? So if I do print, then I want to find the length of, let's say I want to find the length of this name. So I want to know how many characters are in this name. I'll just do print len name. So if I do this, you can see this is, so we have 66 characters here. So instead of me just counting 1, 2, 3, it already gives me 66 characters. So this full greeting, what is the length? I can just come here and do print len, then full greeting. I want to know how many characters there. We have 73. How? Okay, sorry, it is adding this hello plus this. Oh, so it is possible, 73. Yeah. So, and what else can we do? Okay, yeah, let's say my surname is, let me comment this out. So there's another, what's it called? Operator or manipulator. Yeah, that was manipulator. So we have upper and we have lower. So just like you are working in Word, Microsoft Word, and you want to change the case of lettering, so you can use uppercase, lowercase, and all that. So if I do print, I want what's it called? This greeting to be in uppercase. Okay, it is already, okay, let's do greeting. So let's see what it gives us. Oops. It's not defined. Oh, sorry. We have a visitor coming. We have lower, upper. Sorry. Let's set our visitor. Okay. Well, I'll get back to this. So we have lower, upper. It is getting full. Then there's another thing. We have replace also. There are many. Like you can Google search. So if you go to Google and do string manipulators on what's it called? String Python. Let's do Python string manipulators. So there are a lot of them. Okay, it also has a cheat sheet. So there are a lot of manipulating stuff. I think there's a better English. Okay, dot lower. Oh, sorry. We have dot lower, dot script, and all. So okay, let's do. So there are a lot of manipulators. The way I'm saying manipulators, it's sounding negative, kind of. So let's do greeting dot lower. Yes. So greeting dot lower should give us hello. You can see it here. If we do greeting dot upper should, you can see it changes the hello to uppercase. So we have a lot of manipulators. And if you notice something, like I'm using VS Code, as I press dots, it's bringing a lot of things I can actually do, or a lot of operations I can do on that particular test, because it is a string, so it already know like that is a string. So what are the things I can do? You can see a lot, like a whole lot, a whole lot. So you can actually look into that later, right? So what else can we do? Okay, let's talk about another data type, which is we call it list. So list. So I just do list. Lists. So what are lists? Lists are like ordered collection of items. Actually, it can be of any what's it called? Any data type. Sorry, where is sorry. Okay. So list can be of it's just like what did I say? A collection, like another collection, because it starts from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's another collection of items of different data types. So in a layman language, I'll just say a list is just like a list. Like you want to go to the market and you have a list of things, a list of items you want to buy from the market. So let's say I'm going to the supermarket, or let's say I'm just going to the market. I can have a list of, let's say I want to go and buy fruits. I'm going to the fruit market. I can have a list of items to buy. So I want to buy apples. I want to buy banana. I want to buy banana. I know you have another question. The question will now be what is C for carrots and D for I don't know. So let's just keep it at this. We have another visitor today. Okay. So like I said, list is just like the name implies. It is list, and list can be you put the items inside square brackets, two square brackets. The first opening bracket, and the last closing bracket. So like you see here, we have opening bracket, close bracket. So this is a list. So you can see a list of items. So it is here that I want to say something interesting, like for people that do not have me, I'll continue. So for people that do not have programming knowledge before, in any programming, numbers in counting in programming starts from 0. Like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So in real world, if you want to start counting, we always count from 1, 2, 3. That's the way they taught us in primary school. Like we start counting from 1. But in programming starts from you start counting from 0, 1, 2, 3. So we just have to like on it. This one is just like our teacher. He said, do you disagree? No, you cannot disagree. But that's the way it is. So that's the way it is in any programming language. Programming starts from 0. So let's say I have a list of fruits I want to buy from the market. I have oranges. I have mangoes. Yeah, I have mangoes, and even I have agbalumo. Yeah, agbalumo. So I can have like thousands of items inside this list. The question is, how do I? Let's say I want to find agbalumo, and agbalumo is on row 10. So how do I find it? Like I said, in programming, we count from 0. You count downwards. So what we have here is apple is in on index what can I say? Position. Apple is on position 0. Banana that you can see in that list is 1. Then carrot that you see on that list is 2. Then orange that you see on that list is 3. Then mangoes that you see on that list is on position 4. Then agbalumo that you see on that list is position 5. So if I want to access any of these things, I have to. We call all these positions in programming, they call it index. So I have to use their index to be able to call them, to be able to access those things. So for example, let's say I want to access apples. So what I will do is I'll just do apples, I'll just do fruits, which is the name of my collection. The name of my list. Sorry, don't let me call it collection. The name of my list is apple. And I want to get the apple that is on position 0. So if we print this out, Python 3 list.py. So if we print this out, this is giving me apples, which is on position 0. If we want to access banana, we'll do 1. So which is on position. You can see the list of items is identified with square brackets in the front. And if I want to access the items inside it, I have to use the name of the variable, which is fruits, and the square bracket, which is this, and say I want to access item in position 1. I don't know if let me write it out. So you have the variable name, then your square brackets, then the position. Yes, let me put it this way. So variable name, square bracket, and position. So this is how to access it. Variable name, square brackets, and position. So if I want to access banana, I'll just do 0, 1. Banana is at 1. So if I want to access my agbalumo, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Agbalumo is in position 5. So if I do this now, position 5. Yeah. So if you have thousands of items, I can easily just take the position and it's going to print it out for me. So that is that about list. The question is, let's say you have list already, a list of items. Ridwan is going to the market. You've given him list of items. You've written your program and you've sent it to him. These are the list of items I want to buy. What if you want to add to that list? There are a lot of operations you can do. So in English, they call it normal thing, and they call it append. So it's just a normal English, append. So I'll just do fruits like this, dot, append. You can see, this is fruits, dot. As I press on dots, it brings me a lot of options. Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to append? And you can see I'm using VS Code. It says append object to the end of the list. Or do you want to copy? Do you want to extend? Do you want to, a lot of things. Do you want to pop? So pop removes something that's an index. So let's do append first. Let's say I want to append. What can we append? We've written, okay, grape. Yeah, let's do grape. So if we append grape, let's print out fruit again, and let's see what do we have inside fruit. Do we have grape there already? Oh yeah, we have grape. Look at it, grape already added. And even I can even access that grape because grape is on index 6. So let's do this. What do we have? We have grape. So what else can we do? We can perform a lot of operations on lists. So if I do fruits dot let's do pop or remove. Should we do it? Okay, let's do reverse. Yes, I love this. Dot reverse. Yeah. So what happens? So if I do run my code, you can see it reversed the list. Grape was to be last because we appended grape, then followed by agbalumo, which is here, followed by mangoes. You can see it's reversed. So this can, let's say you have a long list of items and you're like, oh my god, how do I go through this? I'm looking for someone named Zainab, and Zainab starts with Z. I don't want to go down looking for Zainab. So what can I do? You can just reverse. You get it? So for example, let's say you have dictionary, like in your normal dictionary, like the book, the dictionary, and you're like, instead of me going to open to page 100 and something, looking for Z for zebra, I just need to write my program and reverse it, and I'll have Z at the first item. So if I do item 0 now, what do we get? Because we've reversed it, we have grape as 0 here. So I hope you understand. So that is that about lists. So another data type we have is tuple. I don't know if did they call it tuple or tuple.
I'm sorry, good man. Yes. I have a question, please.
Okay.
I don't know. Yes, you talked about being able to using the index, to print the item. Is it possible to print more than one? Because the example you gave is just
okay. Yeah, you can actually print more than one, but that would be depending on how you want to manipulate your data. For example, I printed 0 here, so let me just do this reverse. Let's remove all this. So if I want to print more than one, I can do print 1. I can do print, but basically, at least for where we are right now, I'm just doing this. You can also write a function, but we haven't gotten there, whereby you can, instead of let's say you have 1,000 list of items and you want to print everything out. You can't be doing print 1, print 99, print. It is very, very tasking. So you can actually write a program that loops through each item, and for each item is going to print that out one after the other. So I don't want us to jump. We are still going to get there, right?
Oh, so, okay. Actually, I asked the question, so I was thinking you can just use command to separate them.
Okay, yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Is that possible?
Yes. Okay, yeah.
Is it possible to use 0, 1 to comma, 0, 1, 2 like that? That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, like yeah, right. Like
is it going to bring anything out?
Okay.
Yes, something like that. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
That would say down will be okay.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so what we have here, you can see we have an error already, which is type error.
Okay, that's not possible.
So it is not possible because it is saying, like, it's actually talking about the next topic I wanted to pick on, which is tuple. So when we get there, so this is saying list indices must be integers, and as you can see, these are not integers already. They are something else. And an integer should be just 1, 2. Normally, if you're writing 1,000, you put 1, comma 000. In a normal natural language, by that I mean our normal language, this is 1,000 to us. So we are using this comma to make all these digits, to make them make sense. But in programming, you don't use comma because it already means something else. So if I'm writing 1,000, this is 1 million. This is 1 million in programming. You can't use comma separated stuff. You understand? Okay. So the program is now seeing this as something else, and apparently this is an error because you can only use one integer here, which is 1 or 2. But like you said, we can do some other stuff, like let's say we want to do plus fruit 2. So I can do fruits 2 plus fruits 0 here, plus plus. So if I do this now, I get carrots and apple, and I can do my comma here. So this is just me manipulating my data, like we did in strings. I don't know if you remember. So I'm just saying whatever that is here, concatenate it with this, and concatenate it to whatever thing that is here. So it gives me carrots, comma, apples. Because as index position 2 we have carrots, and position 0 we have apples. So that is the way it is. So when you are practicing, you can just try things out. Don't worry, your system will not explode. Just try things out and see the errors. So we move to tuple. Sorry, is it tuple? Just call it. If I call it tuple or tuple, just call it like that. So we move to tuple. And what are tuples? So tuples are ordered. Let me say, ordered. Yeah. So tuples are, when I said I talked about what's it called, list the other time, I said ordered collection of items or elements. So in a normal day in list we call this elements, but then you can also call it items in any English that is actually easier for you. So in tuples are ordered collections, but they are immutable. I love that word. So they are immutable collection. Immutable collection of items, or elements. So immutable means when you say something is immutable, like something that does not change, like you can't change them after you've created them. You can't change them. So I would they actually have this set of rule, like you can't bend that rule. You can't. So once you create them, that's the way they are. You can't just bend it. It's just like, I don't know, what analogy can I give? Okay, let's just go into it. So let's say I have a variable called colors, and in colors I have you can see in lists. If it is list items. Oh, sorry, before we go, let me highlight something. In Python or in any programming language, there's something called reserved words. Or reserved let me say words so that it will be easier for us to understand. So all these reserved words are words that are reserved for, they are reserved for the programming language. You can't use them for anything else except what they are meant for. For example, if I do int, I cannot say the name of my what's it called? The name of my variable is int, and int equals 0. This is actually going to, it's probably going to throw an error because int is a reserved word. Like it is reserved for something. What is this? Okay, so cool. Oh, it actually came out. But in normal day, you are not to use this because it is actually reserved. So for example, let's say I want to do list now. You can see the color is actually changing. It's changing, and my VS Code is saying this is a built-in. Yes, instead of reserved, I can say built-in. So they are called built-in words or reserved word. So if I do list equals apple anything 1 2. So can I print it out? Well, it can print out, but if you are using this in your programming language, trust me, you are going to run into problems later. So the best thing is to just, any reserved word, just leave it for what it is meant for. So int is integer, boolean is boolean, list is list. So just use another word. You can just do integer 1. Yeah, this makes sense. You can see the color has changed to white. So this is saying this is a variable, right? It is a variable. And list, you can say list 1. Just give it any name aside the reserved words. So that's that. So let's go back to tuples. So in list, I said list, you can use square brackets. In tuples, you use brackets. Yes, you use brackets. So how do you, let's say you want to have tuples of colors. You can just do, let's say red. What other color? We have blue. Let's do green. RGB. Okay. Let's just do RBG. Let's do green. Okay. So they are what's it called? You can't change this once they are set. Let's say I have to have colors dots. The other time in list we did something in list. So what do we do in list? We said we want to append this grape to the list of fruits. So let's say in tuple, what is going to happen if we want to append? Is it going to work? No, it's not going to work. Let's say we want to append purple. So will it work? So if we do print colors, these are just the basics. So you can see. So attribute error. Tuple object has no attributes. There are a lot of things you can do there are a lot of operations you can do on tuples. But don't worry, I know the question will be what are the advantages of them? Don't worry, we'll soon get there. But you can actually count to know how many what's it called you have, how many items you have in the tuple. So let's do print. Come on, my throat is dry. Let's do print. So if I count this now, what do we get? This is still takes exactly one argument. Oh, okay, let's do count 1. I don't know. I'm just trying to count 3. What do we have? Still 0. So you can actually check it out later, so that I won't waste time. Then we have sets. So I just want to talk about these things, not like we want to go deep inside them, just to have the basic understanding. And we are going to use it. So after this, I think after sets, we'll do dictionary. Then after dictionary, we'll talk about conditional statements. Then the for loop function. Then we can now go into our assignments and see how that comes out. So we have sets. Yeah. So
excuse me, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Please, the assignment and everything.
Yeah.
You are using Python right now.
Yes.
But then the assignment and everything is on Java.
Yes.
So how do you plan to do the assignment tonight as well? Do we plan to do it tonight?
What I actually plan to do tonight is to explain the Python. At least I believe like if you understand the assignment, the question, that's when you can understand the solution, right? Because whatever they want to do in that Java is still the same. It's just like we are transforming the Java code, the Python code into Java, right? So and in class we use Python. So I was like, okay, let's just talk about the basics of Python. Then we are going to treat the assignment the way we did it in class. Then we can now say, okay, this is our understanding. For what we understand here, we should be able to like write other codes in Python. Then we should be able to translate all our knowledge. Because most of the things we are learning here, the data types, the operators and all that applies across all languages. So if we can do it in Python, it becomes easier if you want to replicate it in any other programming language.
Okay, I understand.
So that's what I'm doing. I'm doing this. So
thank you.
You're welcome, boss. So what are sets? What can we call set? They are an unordered collection of items. But I did just collection of items. Collection of unique items, yeah. Collection of unique items. Collection of unique items. So it's just like you have, let's say you are playing card, like you are playing a set of cards. You have unique cards. So you can call that card, like you can call it a set. For example, let's say we have our unique numbers, and we say our unique number is going to be, yeah, this is it. You can see I'm not using curly brackets here. So for list is using square brackets. Tuple is using brackets, and set is using curly brackets or curly braces. So you can see the differences there, right? So yeah, let's say we have 1 2 3. Yeah, let's do 3. Let's do another 3. Let's do 5 2. Yeah, 12. Yeah. So if we do prints, I mentioned unique numbers. If we do print unique numbers or unique items, what is going to happen? So let's do Python dot. We are doing sets now. Set.py. You can see. So it's returning unique set of numbers back. Unique means it's returning just one instance of each. So let's say I have one in 3 places here, and I do this. At least, even without explaining the beauty of this, you already know. So let's say you have another list of things, and you're like, oh, I have read one. Read one is appearing in multiple places. I just want just one copy of read one. So what can I do? Just bring it into sets and print out your stuff, and you get just one read one. So this might be applicable in many, many places. For example, let's say you have 1 million size of data, and like you are working in a bank and you just want one read one, or maybe you are doing a raffle draw or something, you just want an instance of something, a unique value of something. You can just break it into sets, and printing it out, it's just give me just one. So if you have duplicates, it's just going to return just one copy of those. So I think this is just pretty straightforward, right? So okay, what else? Let's talk about dictionaries. So after the class, if you have any question, like I'm still a beginner too, but I can always answer based on my experience. So what are dictionaries? So dictionaries are we call them a collection of key value pairs. Collection of key value pairs. Don't worry, I will explain what those means. Key value pairs, and this is where things get interesting, right? So let's say in our database something in that course. So the man was talking about having a table, and the table is going to have the student name, student age, matric number, and all that. So this is where it becomes interesting. So for dictionaries are like, let's say you have phone book, like your phone book on your phone. If you want to save someone's data, you will save their name and their phone number. So each name has phone number. Ridwan 0070 blah blah, Miriam 070 something. So they are going together in pairs. You can have as many data in that, as many as possible, but they are in pairs. So you have the key and you have the value. So let's say we have students. So a student will have is going to have a name, and the name can be, let's say, Ridwan. Sorry, I'm using my name so much. Then a student will have age, and Ridwan is still young. Ridwan is just 20. A student will have matric number. So the matric number can be, what's wrong? Matric number can be, let's say, 2000 blah blah blah. And what else can Ridwan has? Oh, let's give Ridwan a grade. Yeah. So Ridwan can have grade A. Yep. So if we print out these students, let's print out the students first. So let's print out students. What do we get? We get that thing back. Dictionaries. We're doing dictionaries. Oops. Matric number is not defined. Oh, this is a bug. Matric number should be in string. Yeah. So you can see we have everything back. Let's say we want to get the name of these students. You just use this square brackets and you put what you want to get. You put the key. Yep. So how do I explain this now? Let's do it. Let me break it down into different lines. And come here. Sorry, let me see if I can format this document into Python. Oops. Okay. So I just want to break this down so that it's easier. I mentioned key value. So this is the key name, and this is the value. Read one. This is the key age, the key matric number, the key grade. So if I want to get the name of the student, I'll just do student's name. And if I do this, I run this now. I have read one. I can do student grade. What is the grade of that? The grade of that student. Student grade, and I have A. So what is the age of that student? Age. I just have this. I have 20. So that is how dictionaries work. And you can have, I think we omitted something in list also. So in list, you can have list of dictionaries. Yeah, okay, let me go back to the dictionaries and do it. So we can have list of dictionaries. And from our explanation of list, we said a list is a collection of items. So which means in here, let's do lists of dictionaries. So if you do list of dictionaries here, that means we are saying a list of student data, all students. So let's do, we have a list. We have a dictionary, which is this. This is where it gets interesting. So we have this. Don't let me bring it together, so that we have it on a single line, and it makes sense. Okay. So we have a list, and if you go to what's it called? Lists. Lists are separated with commas. Each list are separated with commas. So in our dictionary, you can say a list of dictionary. So this is the first list, the first item, and I know this is going to get you confused, but don't worry, I will explain. And Tolu is 25. Tolu's matric number is 111, and Tolu has A. Then we have another student, and the name of the student is Baba Tunde. Yeah, Baba Tunde is let's say 35. The matric number is something else. Yes, and also grade A. So this is getting confusing, right? So I think the first thing we have to do, like I said, this is a list of students. You can see the first bracket is square bracket, followed by each item. This is the first item separated with a comma, and the second item, which is a dictionary, then the third item, which is another dictionary, right? So if we print out students, all students, that is in position 0. Like I said, programming language counts from 0. It's going to print out something that is on 0, which is this guy. So if I want to access the name of this guy, I can do name, and it gives me, I know it's confusing, right? If you have any question, just ask, I'll explain. So what I'm doing here, and okay, let me just separate them. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this is one. This is another guy. Okay, yeah, it makes sense like this. Yeah, so you can see it like this. So what we are doing here is we have a list, and inside this list we have a dictionary for each student. So which means inside this list, from our understanding of list, I said a list is a collection of data, of different data types. You can have 1 million items inside this list. So we are now saying in dictionary, like dictionary allows us to have a key value pair. In list, you can't have key value pair. You can only have just one thing inside these quotes. You can only have one thing. We don't know carrots. What is apple? Apple, is it the name of the fruit or the name of is a name of a phone? We don't even know. Banana, is it banana like banana or another thing named banana? We have orange. Is it color orange or fruit orange, right? We don't know. But dictionaries add meaning to it. So we can say here, we can say we have fruit. We can say we have fruit here, and the fruit is called orange. And we can also say we have color, and the color is color orange. So dictionary is actually adding dictionary is actually adding meaning, like you already know. Okay, for example, let's say in Unilag they have different types of departments. So you can have inside this department you can have computer science, you can have management, you can have a lot of things, right? Management. But dictionary is telling you like you can have more things, much more than that. You can say, okay, instead of all this, we can have departments. We can say departments. Departments is MIT. We can say the latitude. Yes, this makes sense. We can say latitude of MIT is 0, coordination 0 point something, and the longitude is like that. You can have that. So dictionary actually gives you the key value, the key, which is whatever thing, and the value that it is holding. So just see this key as a variable. Let me put it that way. And what is on this right is the value that it is holding. So instead of me saying key value, I don't want to use variable. Let's just say key value. So here I'm saying all students, which is the list of all students. Take the student that is on position 1 and give me the name of that student. So this is what this means, right? You can do more. Like I said, initially I just did all students 1. Give me the name of, give me the sorry, what's this? Oh shit. Let me just write Python again. Python 3 and dictionaries.py. So this is saying, take all the list of students and give me the data of that student that is in position 1. So the data of the students in position 1 is this. But I don't need this data, I just need his name. So I'm just saying, okay, instead of that, just give me his name. All I need is his name. So if I do this again, it gives me Tolu. Oh no, I don't want his name. Just give me his age. I want his age. Oh no, just give me his matric number. That's all I need. So I just do matric. I want to retrieve that data. So let me use that word. Retrieve the data. So I'm retrieving that data. Give me his matric number, right? So that is that about dictionary. It's just the basic knowledge. And so that I won't waste time. This is 10 already. So let's do conditionals. So I'll be moving very fast now because I want us to finish as soon as possible. So conditionals. So this is where things get interesting for people that want to do AI. Conditionals. Okay, conditionals.py. So conditionals, right? Or let me say conditional statements. Conditional statements. So this is where programming gets interesting, right? So conditional statements, or you can call them if else, right? So they are just like making decisions or taking actions based on conditions. For example, if it is rainy, then take umbrella, right? If there's traffic on 3rd Milan Bridge, then take another route, right? If the class is full, then sit outside. So it's just like you are making decisions based on conditions. It is very important, conditions. So if the rice is hot, put it down or put it on that fan. If the weather is hot, put on the AC. So they are just conditions. So let's go straight. Let's say I want to define an age. I say the age is 18. I'm now saying if age is greater than or equals to 18. Don't forget we've actually treated these operators. So greater than comparison. Use this to compare. Greater than or equals to 18. Then print let's say you are an adult. Yes, right? Else print you are too young. So smokers are liable to die young. So sorry, this is saying if we've defined the age already, like we are saying the age is 18, but if age is greater than 18, yeah, you're an adult, you can perform a lot of operations here, allow this, allow that. Else print out you are too young. So let's run this and let's see what is it going to give us. Conditionals. So you can see it says you're an adult because the age is 18. So if you do 17, what is it going to give us? You are too young. So let's take this into, let's say you are writing a program for an ATM, the machine, right? So let's say the balance, Ridwan balance is Ridwan has 100 naira. So I'm now saying if your balance is greater than 1 million, this is 10,000, 100,000, 1 million. I can just say you are an Odogu. But else, you are saying you are too broke, bro. You are too broke, bro. You understand? So this is a condition. The condition is saying if the balance is greater than 1 million or equals to 1 million, then you are an Odogu. Else, if this condition does not equal to true, if it is false, then print this out. I don't know if we understand. So basically, okay, it's still printing this out. Let me just comment this out. So basically, this can be used in anything. So even in your mobile phones, like if you press this button, then switch on the phone. Else, just leave it the way it is. If you want to make call, after dialing number, if you press the green button, then make call. Else, just leave it. even the red, if you're making call, the red button, if you press this button, this red button, then end the call, perform some actions. Else, perform another action. If you are driving, like you can just program your what's it called, your car to be like, okay, if you see an obstacle ahead, then stop. Else, continue moving. So these are conditionals. So conditionals are used to make decisions based on condition. Like I said the other time, based on conditions. So let's move to the next one. We have to move fast. It's late already. We have loops. So this is where things get interesting. So we are bringing all the basics together. So loops are just like, like you are repeating an action, right? You are repeating a task. For example, let's say, okay, you write a program like brush my teeth every morning at 7 a.m. So once you write that program at 7 a.m. exactly, that program is going to run and it's going to perform an action. For example, if you have like ATM machine, like you say, okay, if this user press if they press 100,000, then count 1,000, look through the money, the notes, look through it 1,000 times and count it out. So that is what's it called? That is loop. And under loops, we have different types of loop. We have the for loop. We have the what's it called? Okay, let me just do what is loops. So sorry. So loops are repeating task. Is it repeating or repeated task? Okay, it's a continuous repeated task, right? So that executes multiple times until then let me say until, don't worry, because we have infinite loops and the ones that they keep running forever, right? I thought we have a visitor. So so we have different types of loops, different types of loops. We have we have for loop, and we have while loop. Though we have more, we have do while, yeah, we have do while loop. So please mute yourself, please. So we have for loop, while loop, and do while loop. So I'll just explain two of these, the for loop and the while loop. So for the for loop, what are for loops? This is very, very important in programming because most of the things they are dependent on these things. So for loops, they actually iterate over a sequence or over can I say a sequence? Because I don't even understand what sequence means or data type. Don't worry. So it's actually iterates over data type. Like you have a string, it can iterate over it. You have what's it called, list. You have tuple. You have it can actually iterate over those. So let's say we have a list of fruits. Let me just go and copy that fruits. Where do you have it? List. I don't want to be writing things. Computer science is not a fruit. We have apples. Let's say we have mangoes there. Where do you have mangoes? We have banana. Okay, I do banana the other time. So let's say we have a list of, where are we? Loops. Let's say we have a list of fruits. Like someone asked the question the other time, so I think this is going to answer your question. So let's say we want to iterate over this and do something about this. So we can do our for loop. So how do you write for loop? You say for fruits. You can do anything for fruits in fruits. Oops. For fruits in fruits, then print fruits. It's not making sense, right? So let's go. I'll go one after the other. We call it for loop. So just like normal English, it is saying for each item in that list. You can call it anything. I just write fruit so that it will be. You can say for Ridwan in fruits. It doesn't mean anything. You can it's just like I'm giving it a variable name. But sometimes you want to write programs such that if you are reading it later, you'll be able to understand what you've done, right? So if I do for Ridwan in fruits, print Ridwan, it's still going to print Ridwan. Yeah. So let's do this is loops. Oops. Loops.py. What happened? For fruits and fruits, print fruits. Okay. For Ridwan and fruits, yeah. This will work. So yes. So it's actually printing them out one after the other. So, but then for me to understand this in the future, I'll just do fruits. I'll call it fruits. So this is saying for fruits in fruits, print this. In some other programming languages, they will do something like, I think in JavaScript will do something like, what's it called? For this, x equals 1, s plus plus and all that. But in Python, it is pretty straightforward and you can just do this and you are good to go. So this is saying for each element, or let me do for item in fruits. So basically, you are dealing with one item, so it is actually okay for you to not give this a plural form. Just put it as singular for each, so that you understand. So this means, let me just write it here. This means for each item in fruits, print each fruit, or print each item. Let me put it that way. So this means for each item in fruits, and this fruit is this. You can also use this for, we use this for list. You can also use it for name. So let's say Ridwan's name is, let me just comment this out for peace to reign. So let's say Ridwan's name is Ridwan Balogun, or just Ridwan. Yeah, Ridwan. So I want to print out each letter of that name. So I'll just do for, I can just do for string in, that string is reserved. I'll just do for, what can we call it? Okay, let me just do names and do name here. I'll just do for name in, okay, yeah, for letter in name. So let me just read. For letter in name, print each letter. So this is just straightforward. For letter in name, print each letter. You can see it prints out RID each time. So what this is going to do is it's going to go through it one after the other. Then, okay, let's do it this way. So this is going to say for R print R, then it goes back, I print I. Then for what's the next letter? D print D. For the next letter W print W. For the next letter A print A. For the next letter N print N. So that's why we have it R I D W N. The same thing with the fruits. Yeah, it's saying for the first item print it. The first item print it. It goes back. The second item print it. It goes back into this fruit. The carrots print it. It goes back into this fruit as many times as possible. So that is for loop. The next one is do while loop. So let me just comment this out. So the next one is while loop. While loop. So for while loop, what this does is, let's say you want to repeat a block of code. I don't want to be using. Let's say you want to repeat an action you want to continue that action forever until a condition is true, until a condition is satisfied. So let's say my count is 0, but you have to be careful using while loop because your program can continue running forever if there is no condition. If all the conditions are not true, it keeps running forever. So let's say while count is 5. So while count is less than 5, then what do you want to do? I want you to print counts. Yes, I want you to print counts. And every time you've printed counts, I want you to increment counts. I want you to increment counts by 1. So let's see this. So I save this now, and I'm going to run it. What do we have? We have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is saying while count is less than 5. That is, while 0 is less than 5, print whatever thing that is there. So after you've printed it, now increment it by 1. So this one means count plus 1. This is what this one means. So this one means count plus 1. Like, how do I explain like this? Okay, let's go again. We've initialized the count to be 0. That is where we're starting from. We are now saying, like in plain English, while this is less than 5, and we already know this is actually less than 5 because this is 0 and 0 is less than 5. Print this. It's going to print it 0. It's now saying after you printed this, increase it by 1, and we already know this count is 0 now, but increase it by 1, which means 0 plus 1 equals 1. So now the next time it's going, this is already 1. So when this is 1, you to check the program again. While 1 is less than 5, which is true, print 1. It's going to print it. We have it here. Then after you printed, add 1 to it, making 2. So the next time it's going, this becomes 2. It's now saying while 2 is less than 5, which is true, print 2. It prints it here. Then increment it again. Add 1 to it, making 3. This one becomes 3. It does like that till it reaches 5. So till it reaches 4. So at 4, it's now going again, like while 4 is less than 5, which is true, print 4. It prints it. Then increment that 4 by 1. And by now, that is going to become 5. So after becoming 5, it goes back again and say while 5 is less than 5, and this is not true because 5 is not less than 5. Print it. It's not going to print because this condition is false. I don't know if you understand. So if I want to do something that is going to hang my system now, I can do. Let's do 0. I don't want to hang my system because that might be the end of the of the session. So if I do 0, you can see it prints everything to 49. But if I do equals to or less than 50, it's going to print everything, which means including 50. That is just, you can see it's added 50 to it. So instead of 50, let's do 5 so that we can see it. So you can see it started from 0, it's included 5, and it printed everything. So if I want my system to hang, I'll just do while this is greater than 5. And trust me, this is going to be greater than 5 forever. Like it will reach 1 billion. And it will check again, like while 1 billion is greater than 5, print 5. It will now be 1 billion plus 1. It will keep iterating over it till I shut down my system. But I wouldn't want us to do that, so that we just. So the reason why I'm telling you this is sometimes, in most cases, you might want to use while. But trust me, at least I've been doing programming for a while now. I always make sure I don't. I work in the fintech industry, so I'm very careful because I don't want, if someone now withdraw 10,000 and they keep getting 10,000 forever, that means they'll just lock me up. So I always make sure I run away from while loop because you might think you've actually taken care of it, and somehow, so maybe you get distracted or something, you might not take care of it. So I always prefer using for loop because this one will just do the work. So that is that about while loop and for loop. And I think lastly, before we move on to the assignments, we'll talk about functions. This is very, very important. Functions. So in Python, I think the first thing is, what are functions? How do I explain this? What are functions? So functions are just like you write a block of code and you reuse them. So let's say reusable blocks of code. Reusable block of code. So, and the reason why you have to reuse them is because they have a particular task they are performing. So you can have as many functions as possible, and each one of them are performing different tasks. So we can say that performs different or specific. That performs specific tasks or tasks. So let me use a car, for example. Inside the car, we have many components coming together. You have the steering wheel, which is, it has its own particular function. We have the gear, it has its own particular function. We have the brake, it has its own particular function. We have the clutch, accelerator, and all that. We even have the tires, we have the side mirrors. So all of them have their own specific functions. You can never put your side mirror on your wheel and be rolling it. It doesn't work that way. You have the steering wheel already. You can never put your seats at the wheel, like instead of using tires. It doesn't work that way. So all of them have functions. Just like we have government also, we have the legislative, we have the judiciary and all that. So they all have their own functions and they perform some specific tasks. So, okay, let me write because I would prefer to write. So if you want to write a function in Python, you start with def. Then you give it a function name. So you can see this function name as the variable to that function that you can actually refer to later if you want to call that function. For example, read1 is a function. Like read1 as a whole is a function. So if you want to call my name, you want me to do something, you just call me read1, sit there. So I already know you are talking to me. Then I'll tell myself to sit down there and performing a specific task already. But you can't just say, let's say we have thousands of guys somewhere. You can't say, sit there. People will be looking at you like, what do you mean? What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. You can say, Barry, stand up. You know, you're actually calling in. So we call functions in programming. So let's say this is my function, and my function is going to perform something. My function is going to print out, let's say my function is going to print out hello read1. Yeah, let's say hello read1. So this is my function. It's going to print out hello read1. So I can call this as many times as possible. Great. So I'm calling. So we call this when you want to call a function. You've defined your function. You've written your function out. I want to call it because if I don't call it, nothing is going to happen here. So let's say I save this now and I do Python functions. Nothing is going to happen because I didn't call this. So if I want this to work, I'll just say greet, then I'll add my bracket in front. So this bracket is saying I'm calling a function. If I do not write a bracket, it doesn't mean anything. It's something else, right? I can just say call. So adding this bracket means the function name, the function definition, the name, the curly braces, this and that. Then if I call this now, let's see what's going to happen. I have hello read1. So like I said the other time, you want to make a function. Okay, let's call this function as multiple times as possible. So let's say we wrote our program to call this function as multiple times as possible. You can say we have hello read1, hello read1, hello read1. So functions can also act as like a template. Can I say templates or a mode? By mode, I mean like, you know, for people that are working in the construction industry, if they want to build a block, you know, they can't just be building block every day. They already have a mode. They'll just pour cement into it and bring out the block. So they can replicate it in 1 million times, and they can be doing that every day. So functions can act like a mode that you can use to like build things out. Like you see now, I called it multiple times and I have hello read1. So let's say I want this function to, instead of read1, let's say I want it I want to use it for something else. I want to reuse it. Like I said reusable blocks. So let's say instead of read1, it can just be any name. So let's say I want to say hello, then plus the name. So let's say hello, then plus concatenation the name. So if I want to call this now, this is not going to work unless I pass in the name. I can say instead of here, I can say read1. I can put different things here. I can put Peter. I can put Miriam. I can put Chisholm. I can put Barry. You know, I can have as many names as possible. So if I now run this code now, see the magic. You have hello read1, hello Peter, hello Miriam, hello Chisholm, hello Barry. So I'm reusing this. Like, I don't know if you get the gist. So I'm reusing it. I can use it for Barry. So if I do this now, it prints out Barry. If I change this name to Tunde, it prints today out. So that is function. And lastly, so because this is part of our assignments, user inputs. So we've been talking about running codes on the terminal. What if you want the users, at least if you want to log on Facebook, it is not like Mark already know your password and username. It is you that you input it by yourself. Like, okay, my email is readbay@gmail.com and my password is read1. So they are going to collect it. How do you now, you as a programmer, how do you ask users for inputs? So this will be the last thing we are going to treat today. So let's say I want users to input their username. I'll just do, it is straightforward in Python, just do inputs. So inputs, you can see, it reads something from inputs, yeah? So you can actually read more about it. So inputs request something and you can put a placeholder or a prompt or something. So let's do enter your username. Enter your username. So this is a prompt. Then print, let's print something. Hello, let's do hello plus that's username plus username. So let's try this out. So let's say I run this code. Okay, I run this file now. User inputs. You can see it's asking for my name. Enter your username. Okay, my name is Readbay. Bam. It returns back hello Readbay. You can see it's, I don't know if you can see it. It's when I started programming, it's one of those things I found interesting. Like, wow, so this is how these things work. So let me, I want to run it again. I run it. It said enter your username like we did here. You put enter your, so it's asking the enter your username Tunde, and I say hello Tunde. You can do more. You can say password. Yes. Let's see what my password is. So enter your password. So hello password. Okay. Your password is. So let's try this. Let me zoom out. So we have this user input. You can see it's asking me first. Enter your username. My name is Readbay. said hello read bay. You can see enter your password. Well, my password is Sunday. Boom, your password is Sunday. So you can see the beauty. Let me just put this. Let me put them side by side. Put them side by side. Yep. So my name is Ridwan or Read Bay. Enter your password. My password is Sunday. Boom. Says hello Read Bay. Your password is Sunday. You can see the beauty of it. So these are just the basics of Python, and if you understand this, you'll be able to like understand what's it called, other programming languages. So back to the assignments given to us in class. So the assignments is .py, and inside this assignment, so the lecturer said we should do something, and what was given to us is he wrote a function, and he called the function main, like we've done before. You already seen the what's it called. This is just a function like the one we did just now, and he said inside this function we have a, b, c, but then I want to make it easier. So let's just do a is going to ask for user input, and it's going to be enter the value of a, right? Then we do what's it called, enter the value of a, then the same thing for b, the same thing for c. So this is what we did in class. Actually, I wasn't in class actually. I wasn't in class that day, but then this is what we did. So value of c, and once you requested for that value from users, what do you want to do with the value? You want to store the value and perform some operations on the value. So what operations? We are using what's it called? Quadratic equation. Quadratic equation, right? Equation. So for that, we already know like I just call it Q. It's just like b raised to power 2 minus 4ac, right? Normal basic mathematics in class. But you can't write it like this. I don't know. What was it? Quadratic formula. Okay. So quadratic formula is b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a, right? So you can't write it like this. You have to do it in a programming way, a Python way. So if you want to now do it, it will not be just write what's it called? Your variable then equals to, we have b raised to power 2 will now be times 2 minus 4 times a times c. So this is the same thing as b raised to power 2 minus 4ac. And like I said the other time, some will be like, why not even instead of using times a times c? You agree with me that 4ac is the same thing as 4 times a times c in basic mathematics. So that's why we have 4ac. So we are doing 4 times a times c, 4ac, right? Then if you are doing exponential, like I said in what's it called? Was it in string or operators? Yes, in operators, I made mention of exponential here, arithmetic operators. So if you want to do exponential, you do star. So someone wants to say something? So that's
yes, sorry, I think somebody wanted to join.
Okay.
Sent the chat. What have we added?
We're almost done. Okay. Now I feel what those lecturers used to feel. Okay, so God I beg. So what are we doing? Okay, so the in class we now did if d, which is b raised to power 2 minus 4ac, if it is greater than 0. This is and like you can see everything we are doing here is we've done the basics. We wrote a function, we gave it a function name. This can be anything, it can be read one instead of main, right? It can be read one, but just to make it make sense. Then we are now asking users for their inputs. Then after getting the input from the users, it is now left to us to perform some operations. And like I did here, you can see this is the comments. Like I explained earlier on, comments are just for either for me or here I can just say ask users for inputs for A, B, and C. So this is just for me or any other programmer coming into my code base to understand what I'm actually doing here. Then here I'm saying quadratic equation. So here we are now saying whatever thing you've collected from the user. So if the user inputs 2 for A, 3 for B, 4 for C, and you already know these are variables. We are storing whatever the user provides into this so that it's going to hold it. If you remember, I mentioned variables, at least when we started. So, okay, tutorial. Variables. Okay, let me just go back. So whatever thing the users inputs, we are going to take them and use them to perform some operations. And one of the operations is that, I beg, after this, I'll not be, it's actually distracting. So one of the operations is that whatever thing the users have inputs, just do, if the user inputs 1 million, just do 1 million raised to power 2 minus 4. This is an integer, times A, whatever the user input as A, times whatever the user input as C. Then whatever you get, save it in D. Then now check if, this is our condition, if D is greater than 0. I know you agree with me, like we've done this. Then now create another variable to save some things inside. We are not saying, we are calling our variable x1. We are not saying in x1, let's do minus b plus, so the square root. So the question is, how do we do square root in, what's it called? In Python. So how do we do square root in Python? We have to bring in something. There's something called libraries in Python. So libraries are things that makes our work easier. Like mathematics, as a developer, I can develop my own library. Like I can call it read one. Like let's say I've solved some solutions and I think like, okay, this thing is going to be useful for a lot of people. Instead of them to start all over again. For example, let's say I want to build a phone. I already have someone that has done the battery, someone has done the screen, someone has done the parts, someone has done the panel. I'll just go to them and bring them together instead of me writing my own, developing my own from scratch. So we call them libraries. So today can do his own library. Maybe his own library is solving cancer, and I'm a medical doctor, and we have Bola. Bola has created a library, and the library is all about solving headache and all that. So instead of me doing my own research all over again, I can bring in their works and use it and bring everything together and use it in my own code base. So we call them libraries. I don't know any analogy I can give, but at least you get the gist. So yeah, we are now saying import math library from. So this library exists by default on Python. So I want to import it and use it. So here I'm saying math dot what's it called? So if I want to use it, I'll just bring in the math. So in that library, I want to use something, and you can see that library, that math library, has a lot of things as far as mathematics is involved. So what I want to use is I want to use the square root because I want to find the square root. And what square root do we want to find? According to what was given to us in class, we want to find d. Then I'll now say my divided by 2a. Don't worry, I'm going to explain these things. So the same thing for x2, we create a variable x2. We do the same thing, but instead of doing plus, we are doing negative stuff here. So we are now saying print. I'll explain them one after the other, but let me just write everything out then so that it will be faster. I think x1 equals the value of x1, and let's just print everything out. We have value of x1, value of x2, then if it is, because we are saying if d is greater than 0, that is this, if it is greater than 0, then this should be real roots, according to what they gave us in class, real roots. So that is the first condition, if d is greater than 0. But the question is, what if d is not greater than 0? What do we do? So that is where the second condition comes in. So we are saying if this is this. So there is another one, elif. This elif means else if. Else if, that's what it means. But in Python, they call it elif. So we are saying else if d is equal to 0, then do this. The other one is else, which is the last one. Like if all conditions are not met, then do this as the last. You can have as many elif as possible, like elif equals this one, or else if this is 2, a lot of things. But if all things are not possible, then do whatever that is in else. So don't worry, I'll still explain again. Don't worry. So in elif, in class, they said x equals minus b divided by 2a, which is 2 times a. Then they now say print, I'm lazy with all this printing. Print equal roots, yeah. So print equal roots. Who is that? I beg. So the last one is if all conditions are not met, then print imaginary roots. Imaginary roots. So like I said the other time, if you write a function and you do not call the function is not going to run. So we are going to call our function here, and the name of you are going to call the function with its name. Or let me just change this to name of function or func. Yeah. So we want to call this function with the name. I beg, please mute your mic. So calling the function with the name is going to give us this. So I'm going to run it. Don't worry, like I said, I'm going to explain the code base from. So you can see this is asking me enter value of A, I enter 330, enter value of B, I enter 57, enter value of C, I enter 757. Oops, there's an error. So the error is on line 25. Yeah, this is happening. Unsupported operand type for star. Or power string. Okay. So what is happening is let's do something. Yeah, because it is part of debugging. If you want to debug your code, you have to do it this way. Print. Okay. It's still going to give me something. So what is actually happening is because our input is coming in as as a string. Yeah. So we have to cast it. And if you remember, I told you there is a way to cast. You can do int because we want to cast it. So I'm casting this into an integer because it is coming in as a string. So I'm casting it as an integer. I don't know if you understand. If you don't understand, you can ask a question. It's coming in as a string. But, like I said the other time, you can't perform mathematical operation with a string. You can't say...
Sorry, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry. Can you show again the error you got? How did you know that it was down to casting?
Okay. So this is... I don't know if you can see my...
Yes, I can.
Yeah, so looking at the error from A to Z, set traceback, most recent call, then it talks about my Python line file. You can see assignment.py. Then it says line 25. So apparently this is line 25, which is my function. So in a normal day, it enters this function. If I enter this function, this is the function. Then it now goes and say, okay, line 10, something is wrong in line 10, and this is line 10. Line 10 is this, and this. This is where it's performing that operation, and it's also printed it out. So in this line 10, it's saying type error, unsupported operand types for star and or power. Then it gave me some int, string and integer. So I'm just using this my own thing to say, oh, what could have been wrong is string and integer. We have integer here, and we have input coming from the users, which is most probably a string. So we are now saying 4 times Ridwan times Bola. It doesn't make any sense. So the best thing I can do
Okay,
is,
got that. Thank you.
got it. So the best thing I can do now is to do casting, like I explained here. Where is it? Casting. I explained it here. I said you can cast an integer into a string, and you can also cast a string into an integer. So I'm doing the casting here now, like to say, okay, I want to force it, whatever the user input, it must be a number, not a word, not a letter. So let's try it out again and see what we're going to get. Any other error? I use this, I do this, and I enter. So I got imaginary roots. So what I could have done is, okay, it is imaginary roots. Let's print out all these things, even if they are imaginary. What do we get? Let's even print out D. What do we have in D? So that we will understand what exactly is going on. D, let's do D equals to D. Yes. So even if it is imaginary, at least we should know what makes that imaginary. So let me run it again. Oops, I have another error. So this error is saying, okay, x1. Do you understand why I got this error? It's saying x1 cannot be found. You can see unbounded local error, local variable x1 reference before assignment. So let me go back to the code base. I have to zoom out now so that I can explain. This, you can see it with this colon. This colon means everything under here, they are inside what's it called? A block. If it's another program, let's say JavaScript. JavaScript will do it like this. You have the let me convert this to JavaScript. Sorry, just for explanation purposes. So this one will say if D is greater than this, then this. So in JavaScript, they used to have curly braces because that's what I do. So this is a block of code, like they are inside this block of curly brackets. But in Python, once you do colon, and you can see the indentation, you can see that my if and this x1, it goes inside. So in Python, indentation really matters a lot. So this is saying, because I'm using Visual Studio Code, after writing this, it goes to the next indentation for me to continue my code. So this is saying that if if D is greater than 0, then perform all these operations here. But the question is, I'm trying to reference x1 and x2, and they are what? They are in a different block code, which means they are here. So what I could have done is I have to bring this out of this block so that other blocks can have access to it like this. So if I do it this way, then other blocks are going to have access to it because it is above them. You can see these ones are in and this one is outside. I don't know if I'm able to explain that. So if I run the code again, it should run this time because I'm accessing x1 and x1 is a global variable. So there's another thing I didn't explain actually, but it's a lot. We have local variables, and we have global variables. So you can actually Google search that because I might not be able to explain. So local variables are variables that are local, and global variables are variables that are global. For example, if I'm in Lagos, right, everything in Lagos are local to me. Ikeja, I can go to Ikeja. I can call someone Ikeja. Ikeja is local to me because I can easily access Ikeja, right? But if I'm in Lagos and you want me to access something in New York, it is not possible, right? Because New York is not local to me. I cannot have access to what does not exist within my environment, within my block. So that is what is happening here. And global variables are things that are widely available, like the air we breathe in, like it is globally available. I can access it anywhere. The sand that we step on every day, it is globally available anywhere. Water is globally available, right? It's not like it is peculiar to Lagos only. Well, if you talk about people in the desert, then you can be talking about in that context, then water can be a local variable to some people, right? So I don't know, but the local variable and global variables are kind of like, the topic is kind of broad, but it's something you can actually Google search and you can understand. But that's the what's it called? That's the analogy I can give so that you can understand. You can say local variable is only accessible within the specific function of block where it is declared, while a global variable can be accessed from anywhere within the program, including other functions. Like I said, global variable is something that is global. Anybody have access to it, like anybody. The Trump cannot say people in Nigeria should not have access to water. Bro, water is flowing anywhere now in our rivers. I have access to it, right? It is a global something. But Trump can say nobody should enter New York because it is local to them, right? So that is local variable. It is defined within a specific block, a specific environment. But global variable is something that is defined widely. Anybody can have access to it. Anybody, no matter your race, your gender, you just have access to it anywhere. So that is like we broke people now. We don't have access to money, and it's a global variable to some people. So let's run our code and see what we have. Enter A, I enter A, enter B, I enter B, enter C, I enter C. We have real roots, and this is the calculation of the real roots, the roots. Oh, I entered something the other time, it gave me imaginary roots. Now, I don't even know. I need to be paying attention to those. So, the x1 is this. The x2, okay, real roots. Where's real roots? This is real roots. I think we need to print out D in everywhere. Even this one doesn't make sense. What's this one doing? Well, now you make a mistake. X equals x. I don't even know what's going on. Okay, so we have x here. I don't even know why we do this, but I wasn't in class. So okay, so that's that. Let me run it again and see what we have. A is this, B is this, C is this. What do we have? We have an error. It says x1 math domain error. Yeah. So which is this minus b s2? What could be the reason? Most reason called blah blah blah. Line 11. So what do we have in line 11? X1 here. Name of function x1 equals b blah blah here. Which is this? B plus square roots. Okay. So it's a math domain. Okay, I think the number is too large. Let me go again. Error done this up. Let me undo. I did some things and I don't know. Let me just undo my changes for peace to reign.
I think we just remove this.
Yeah.
Because in class we didn't have all those d equals to all those
For
stuff.
peace to reign. I mean, I don't know again, but it's something we can debug actually. So, I'm using my AI to debug. So what's saying imaginary roots, blah blah. I don't know. But then I don't know. I think I've done something and what is the fix? I think I've done something and I can't even understand because it works the other time. So okay, sorry. I'm using AI to check some things out. The fix is remove calculation for x1. The calculations for x1 are only performed if d is non-negative. Oh, okay. I beg, let me just undo some things, right? For peace to reign. Okay, I did something somewhere. Okay. Yep. I think we are good. No, we are not. I still have red here somewhere here. What did I do? I'm coming now. Sorry. I have red here. Sometimes it is. Oh. Okay. What's happening, bro? Okay, sorry. Unbound local error. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm calling X. Yeah. Oh shit. I have to go over again. Yeah, it works now. So I was calling local variable. Yeah. Sorry, local variable. Yeah. So that is that about this. So the question is, how do I explain this so that we can understand the magic? So the first thing here is we brought in a library, a math library. So this math library, it provides some mathematical functions like we use there, which one of them is the square root that we use there, mathematical functions. And coming here, we define our function using this def, which means it's a function, and we gave it a name of function, right? So and everything is after this, what's it called, colon, is a block of code. So this block of code performs a specific action. Like I said the other time in, in functions. Functions are a reusable block of code that perform specific tasks. So after here, we are now asking users, we are getting input from users. So we are saying users should, we are programming the program. We are programming the program to ask for users' inputs. So users are going to see something like this, and it's going to ask them, like, input something like this, like enter value A, and users are going to enter value A. So if users enter 877, the program is going to take the 877 because this is coming in as a string. So the program is going to, we now cast it into an int. And like I explained the other time, integers are whole numbers, like 100, minus 1, minus 100, minus 1000, and so on and so forth. So we are now saying, take the value that the user is inputting, convert it into an integer, then save it in a variable called A. And like I said, the A can be anything. You can give this one read, you can give this one 1, you can give this one balogun. It doesn't mean anything. It's just for you to have something like you can reference later, right? So that is that about that. The next thing is we are doing some calculations.
Can I quickly ask a question?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Is there another way we can actually input this without having to cast the integer? Cast the entry as an integer, yes. That's
this one, we are just making it such that it can request for something. We can do A because you can actually, hard code it. You can hard code it. Or probably, maybe you have a data somewhere. Let's say you have a list of, marks. For example, student marks somewhere on a sheet or maybe in a database, and you are calling it. You can get your data anywhere, right? This is just one of the means to get data. Either you ask for users to input it, or you have it saved somewhere already, and you are just fetching it from that, or you hard code it, right? Depending on your business goal. So it's just one of the ways. For example, this one is hard coded.
Sorry, but is it possible to get the input as integers instead of string?
Instead of string.
Instead of what we had.
Instead of casting it, right? Yeah. I don't know. But based on my own understanding, anything you are requesting for is actually by default going to be a string. It is not left to you to manipulate the data. Even if you have a front-end application like a website like on Unilag and you want to input, if you input 1, it's going to be the front-end developers that will say, okay, this one that this user inputs, please change it to an integer instead of a string. But by default, based on experience, but this is just my experience, might be limited, right? But by default, most programming language, most tools will actually get string because it's easier to get a string and it is universal. Like I can get 1. I can get 1. So which means users can input 1, they can input ABC, they can even input true or false. This is just a string, it is universal. So when I get it and I'll say, okay, this thing that users input, I want it in another form. So in programming, I think they call it sanitizing or data manipulation or something like that, such as what you input, they will transform it into what they want to use. Because it's not the user that is using this data, it is you that you are using the data. And sometimes because of malicious activities from hackers and all that, you get data from them raw, then you manipulate the data, you sanitize it, you do a lot of things, analysis and all that based on it. But you want to have a uniform, I think by default, I might be wrong, but by default, all data comes in as a string. So it is not left to the programmer to manipulate the data based on your own specific need. Okay, for example, now in this particular data, we are doing calculation. What if we are not doing calculation? We just want to save the data. It just goes in as a string. So, but because we are using the terminal, it's coming in as a string. But if we have a front end, the front end engineer can actually say, you know what, I want this data to come in as a number. So if the user is not inputting number, then it should not go through. For example, on your calculator, you might not be able to use letters on your calculator because they program it to not accept strings. You understand? They've actually programmed it to not accept strings. But like I said, for peace to reign, let's just accept it like this. We can do more research later. Right? So may I proceed?
And also,
yes, sir.
Sorry, just to buttress a bit on what you said.
Okay.
I think it would be better if we use them a get form request to explain this one. A situation where you probably need to input your age.
Yes.
So the front-end developers would restrict it to only using numbers.
Exactly.
Not letters.
Exactly. Yes. So shall we proceed? I don't get that they go. No wonder lecturers collect 500K. Easy.
Well done.
So we've gotten the input from users and we are saving the data into these variables, right? So after saving the data, the next thing is to do our calculations. And here we are doing some calculations. We are saying whatever the user input as b exponential 2, which is b raised to power 2 minus 4. This is a data type number multiplied by a that is coming in multiplied by c. This is just straightforward, like just normal mathematics, right? So the next thing is we are going into our conditionals, like we learned here, the if, else, elif. I didn't do elif here the other time, but you already get the gist. So elif and all that. So yeah, let me just, what's going on? Make I leave this thing like that. So back to the assignment, we are using our conditionals here. Here we are saying if d, whatever d is here, is greater than 0, do this. Else if d is greater than 0, is equals to 0. And you can see this equals to is different from this. This one is, we call it an assignment. It assigns, assign. Yeah, I think that's English. It assigns the value here to the variable. Yes, assignment. Yes, it is. It assigns the values here to the variable. But this is not an assignment, right? It is an operator. And what it does is it checks equals to, right? So it is saying if d equals to 0, like if d is equal. By equal, I mean like if we have someone that is tall by 100 centimeter and we have another person that is tall by 100 centimeter, they are equal. If you have a bowl of water and a bowl of water here, on the left and the right, they are equal. So we are saying if it is equal to, this is not saying d should hold 0. It is comparing, yes, comparison. It is comparing d. So that is if d is equal to 0, then perform whatever thing that is here. Else, if none of this is true, then do whatever thing that is here. So you are just saying like, okay, if there is traffic, then my car should move. Else if there is no traffic but the road is bad, that's not the last thing. You are just saying if this happens, then you have a lot of conditions. If it is raining, then drive. If there is traffic, then drive. Else, if the road is bad, then drive. Else, another. But at the end of the day, if none of these conditions are met, then there is a fallback, which means if none of whatever thing I've mentioned above, if none of this happens, if none of this is true, then just do this and move on with your life. You understand? So, like I said, someone once said like AI is just multiple else if, but don't worry. So we are not saying that if d that we've actually calculated here is greater than 0, then do this x blah blah, then do x equals minus b, whatever b is, then find the square root of d, then divide it by 2 multiplied by a, right? So here the same thing, we're doing minus b minus the square root of d, which is just basic quadratic equation, then divided by 2 and all that. So we are not saying print whatever the value of x1 is here if this condition is met. So trust me, if d is not, okay, let's do something, right? Let's print out what exactly is d, right? So I think from there we'll be able to understand what is actually happening. What exactly is d? So from there we'll know where our what's it called? Our if else if is entering. What exactly is d? So let's run the program again. Sorry. Oops, I did something else. So 1, 2, 2. D is minus 32. You can see. So this program is saying if d is greater than 0, and we know d is minus 132. It is not possible. D can never be greater than 0. So this particular one is not going to run. Then the second condition, else if d is equal to 0. And if you check, is d equal to 0? No, d is lesser than 0 because it is minus. So this is not going to run. Else, if no condition is now met, to print imaginary root. That is why we have this. So if I run it again and I input some big numbers, let's see, what is our d? Oh, it's a lot. Let me just input small numbers instead. 1, 2, 3. Minus 8. Oh, wow. Let me just do 1, 1, 1, 1.
Make b bigger. Make b bigger.
Okay, b bigger. Oh, okay, b bigger, right? Let's do 1. Then b should be this. Then this. Oh, perfect. Yep. So you can see we have d which is greater than 0. Definitely, this is going to run, and that is why we have real roots. So the same thing applies to all of them. So you can have a block of code and you can do a lot of manipulations in it just to get whatever thing you want to get, and that's it. So that is that about that. So the code takes 3 numbers, which is A, B, C, as input from the users. Then it calculates the equation. Then it determines the nature by comparing this to this, and it prints out something if the condition is met. So that is that about the classwork. Right. So I think we can put an end to this stuff. This is 11. Wow, that's long.
Man, I feel like everything that you just taught tonight is just a lot to understand in one night.
Yeah, it is actually.
Because like you just went from teaching us the basics of the language to like solving the assignment.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot. I think that when we now watch the video step by step,
okay,
we get what's up.
So I don't know. Maybe tomorrow, if I have the time, I can do a little introduction to Java. Right. So then, because we have to do the assignments in Java, so
Yeah.
at least from the introduction, like just like we did for this, and we're able to understand. At least this is pretty straightforward, right? Using all the things we learned, bringing them together is pretty straightforward. So we can use the basics of Java to actually do the assignments, and we're going to put them side by side so that we can compare what we have in Python and what we have in Java. So we can do that tomorrow, maybe same time, maybe 8:30 tomorrow, right?
Yes,
Yes. I don't mind. Yes.
So I think that's that. So I'm going to, I don't know, I'll put all this in a single file, then I'll share the file, all these loops and all that. I'll put everything together. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
Also, one observation, please.
Okay.
I think many people still don't have the IDE. So like they have, and I think they don't have it because they have a problem like knowing which one to install and how to install it.
Yes. So I think, like I said, for me, there are a lot of tools to use. A lot. I don't know. So for me, I use what is actually, because this is what I use. I've always been using Visual Studio Code for many years. So we have the PyCharm, we have Spider, we have a lot. But then Eclipse is there. So most of these guys, some of them are kind of heavy. Like if you want to download them, bro, you have to be patient and you have to have good network. You're right. But for this is lightweight, and I don't know, it's easier for me. So you can just do whatever thing that works for you. You can watch videos on which one to download. But then for someone that is just beginning, you might be struggling to have a choice. But just do what works for you, Sha. I won't say more than that.
Yeah, I think Visual Studio, I also have Visual Studio Code based on like little front-end development.
Okay.
And I think that Visual Studio Code is actually good for beginners.
Yes.
Because of like the many features, like debugging, like many features, even the explanations that maybe you would hover over like one code that you write to explain it.
Yes.
And then the extensions it also has inside.
Yes.
Like can download Python extension and all of that.
Exactly. That's what I did. I actually had to download Python. I downloaded Python and it brought a lot of extensions for me, and I actually love them, Sha.
But is it possible for you to show the installation process of the Visual Studio Code for those people, or they should just check by themselves?
Well, we can, but we can. Even for my Java, I'm using my Visual Studio. I use it for my Java also. So we can.
You can use Visual Studio for both Java and Python.
Yeah, I'm using this. This is my Java. I use it for the Java too. I use it. So I use it for Java. So we can, but I think.
Studio can be downloaded free, right?
Yes. Okay, yeah. So another thing you can do is if you go to Google and you do Visual Studio, there are two different types. We have Visual Studio. This one is very heavy, very heavy, and we have Visual Studio Code, which is light. So if you download Visual Studio, that's another problem. And so just do
Which
Visual
one
Studio Code.
to download? Is it the Visual Studio, the light one, or
Yeah,
the other one?
at least for us, we are just starting. We can just do Visual Studio Code. Then click Python in Visual Studio Code. I think they should have what's it called? They should have the installation stuff there. But it's something we can also treat in one of the classes, right? We can also treat it in one of the classes. So we can, yeah.
They have to download the Visual Studio Code first, though, before the Python.
Yeah, no, they can do it. They can do the Python.
So if you download the Visual Studio now, you can actually do the assignments and get the output.
So if you download the Visual Studio Code, you have to install an extension in Visual Studio Code called this Python. Then you can follow this tutorial. They have it on their website. If you just Google search Visual Studio Code Python, it will bring it. So I'm 11. So you can just follow it. Then if you have any questions, we can also have a session showing through. So showing through the processes. So I think that's that. I have to go. It's been a long day.
Yeah, thank you very much for the time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Have a good
I want to
night.
say that it was really explanatory.
I'm a programmer now.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you
Yeah, good
so
night.
much. God
So
bless you.
I'll upload the video to YouTube tomorrow morning. I'll share the link for you to watch.
Okay.
We'll appreciate that.